Hollywood's kindest filmmaker, Ron Howard, has revealed his breaking point. Oscar-winning director at 71 revealed the 6 actors he loathed working with most, from exploding egos to devastating betrayals. Hollywood war stories, not creative conflicts. Ron lost patience to whom? Which great star nearly put him off? Our documentary reveals the truth behind decades of quiet tension, leaked articles, and rare interviews. Number 2 will startle you, so stay tuned. Number 6. Tom Sizemore. Ron Howard orchestrates his setups. Every player knows when to come in, quiet baton, steady tempo. Control that feels invisible is the aim, not chaos. The type that helps actors forget the mechanics and be honest. So when Tom Sizemore arrived on Ransom in 1996, the ambiance reportedly changed from metronome to meteor storm. Sizemore was strong, raw, magnetic, gritty. Audiences adored his energy. Just the instability a clockwork manufacturing can't handle. Crew members later described a tangible tension. One person's energy could spike or crash without warning. So the scene you rehearsed may not be the scene you shot. Simple is Howard's philosophy. Freedom comes from preparation. You plan a safe discovery playground. That rhythm was disrupted by Sizemore's process, say, sources. Call sheets were unconvincing, felt like recommendations. An entry may burn and fail. A line may start electrifying yet end static in the next take. People claimed it wasn't about missing marks or missing sentences. Unpredictability shaped the room. On Howard, where quiet is culture, uncertainty is pricey fast. In time, attention, trust. One day, it was whispered that the production had to halt. No lights or cameras malfunctioned, but the emotional weather was wrong. Howard allegedly requested a diplomatic reset, which is wrong. There was no shouting or chastisement. Reblocking coverage, changing shot order, and rebuilding the day based on his energy, not the schedules, seemed to be his main actions. The soft power variant of crisis management. Contain, not exacerbate. The set sound didn't erupt. Though it exploded, everyone understood the subtext. A flare occurs when the director protects the rhythm on such a scale. Time sometimes leaks minutes. Working pictures make this chapter fascinating. Sizemore's performance is tense, alive, and ransomable. Howard is adept at turning chaotic brilliance into immaculate frames, and insiders claim he did it again here, reacting like a veteran quarterback reading a broken play. The workflow showed the cost. Resets were managed by assistant directors, production triage nurses. Department heads improved communication. Howard's egalitarian, respectful, softly cheering family had to gird itself. You can feel the tension even when no one speaks. It fits between setups and lunch breaks. The lesson wasn't about responsibility, as Howardians claim, but about borders. Film sets are full of passion. A disciplined account keeps it. Trust between actor, director, crew, and, most importantly, film and timetable erodes when it becomes a roulette wheel. No moralizing from Howard. He designed. He reduced variables, enhanced coverage, and found performance beats without perfect conditions. He created instability to save the film without breaking the man. Howard didn't give extended statements or eulogies after Sizemore's 2023 death, which was observed. That may be the most telling ending. No brutality, just separation. For a director who values planning, the Ransom incident demonstrated the cost of unpredictability. Day finishes, crew waits, plan bends, and leader chooses containment over confrontation. Clockwork volcanoes aren't moral judgments. A physics issue. Lava captivates. Cracks are found too. Howard's steady work taught him how to break such cracks and route the flow without burning down the studio. Ron Howard's patience was tested by the following actor. Ron Howard joined the Andy Griffith Show in 1960 at 6 years old. a red-haired Oklahoma kid with innate charm that lit up the screen. He appeared to the world as Opie Taylor, Sheriff Andy's innocent son from Mayberry's idyllic community. Ron considered the set home and Andy Griffith his father. Griffith mentored him, supporting his intuition and giving him performance rhythms. Howard claimed Andy made him feel welcome. Early on, the relationship was warm, playful, and sincere, a mentorship that reflected the show's friendliness. As the seasons passed and success pressures increased, the ideal picture began to crumble. The sitcom was a hit in the mid-1960s, and Andy Griffith was known for small-town decency. Insiders saw a change behind the rustic charm. Griffith became sullen, reclusive, and volatile. One of television's biggest blockbusters weighed heavily on the set, changing its tone. He was domineering and irritable when his vision wasn't met, according to crew members. Ron, now in his teens, noticed the difference most. The carefree laughter between takes decreased. Gentle guidance became harsh. One castmate compared it to watching a July sky cloud over. Howard was getting his first lesson about the divide between public image and private temperament, which would subtly affect his directorship. The straw may have broken the camel's back due to age and self-confidence. It may have taken years of age and artisan confidence. Howard no longer settled with hitting his marks. Griffith asked thought-provoking questions regarding plot arcs, motivation, and low-key authority issues. Once natural, the father-son relationship now had an edge. Griffith, known for doing things his way, would have disagreed with his on-screen son about his growing independence. Griffith's dissatisfaction often manifested in sharp exchanges against extended silences, according to crew accounts. Young Ron found that confusing. This man taught him everything about professionalism. Confusion turned into understanding. He eventually realized that one learns early how to handle dominant personalities, especially when someone can turn on the charm for a take and turn it off between scenes. After his starred show ended in 1968, their friendship cooled. No fights or rumors occurred, just distance. Never working together again, they rarely spoke, only appearing in public when necessary. After Griffith became a television icon, Howard went from a child star to a fine amateur filmmaker, emptied of the discipline he had carried with him. Howard, probably succinctly, recalls Griffith's 2012 burial. He shaped me in ways I still comprehend. Boundaries, not bitterness. He knew what his leadership shouldn't be as he planned his directorial career. Howard ate a length of the power trip in those early days that has stuck with him. Later decided that harmony would be his trademark in his films, completing the warmth on screen with the warmth behind it. Respect, reciprocal respect, and easy communication, not egos, underpinned his production. The many who have known him have always been puzzled by his easygoing nature and the century-old reputation of an emotional genius. Ron learned from Mayberry about structure, not nostalgia. He saw how stress and ego may stifle creativity. Cooperation, empathy, and constancy were his filmmaking foundation. The quiet storm of Mayberry did not just represent Andy Griffith's concealed volatility. It also symbolized leadership under strain. Young artists learn by osmosis. Howard spent his life studying emotional management, witnessing how charisma hides nervousness, how fear doesn't command respect, and how legends have blind spots. This is his career conundrum. America's kindest director perfected in the shadow of a disagreeable man. His childhood small-town fantasy taught him how fragile it is and how much work it takes to sustain harmony when cameras stop filming. The 2001 teaming of Ron Howard and Russell Crowe for A Beautiful Mind seemed ideal to Russell Crowe. Howard was Hollywood's reliable director who blended passion and discipline. After his Oscar for Gladiator, Crowe was the era's icon of passion, known for his character absorption. They appeared destined to create something great. And they did. It won Best Picture and Best Director. That beautiful, polished masterwork was the result of a daily tug-of-war between two creative forces with opposing approaches to art. Howard made films through structure, teamwork, and orchestration. Crowe felt turmoil, instinct, and the unrelenting quest of emotional truth. The genius process conflict was as dramatic as on screen. Crowe saw the film as a test from the start. He arrived on set each day with a variety of clever and bizarre ideas as John Nash, a brilliant but troubled mathematician. He challenged dialogue, altered phrases, and discussed camera location with the determination of a director. Howard, according to crew workers, was patient yet exhausted, balancing actor commitment and production speed. Harmony and quiet focus characterized the director's setups. Crowe's volcanic energy filled the room with creative static. Every scene felt like a philosophical duel, remarked an assistant director. Russell wanted to dominate the role, not merely act it. Advantages exist when the world is so basic that one can use their astrological sign as a rule. Frat, Laurent de Courant de Tag, Ben Moxepla, Howard's wicked bug. Being infected by some caused distress when Howard was rarely angry. He controls himself, runs things quietly, and redirects energy. Crowe's untamedness defied that control. He had to adjust the filming schedule midstream to accommodate Crowe's action on certain days. For Howard, that meant picking either coverage changes or just continuing. Howard's capacity to tolerate turbulence meant the film's rhythm worked without telling the team. The ultimate balance was on one hand, keeping the production disciplined enough to produce while allowing it to flex and stretch to capture Crowe's brilliance when everything clicked. Howard would recall the event with famously unpleasant elegance years later. Control some actors in the scene. He advised Russell to stick on and hope for the best. The tension didn't matter because Crowe's portrayal as Nash was one of his most vulnerable and obsessive, engulfing the film. Howard's design and aliveness keep emotional whirlwinds from drowning the story. They built something unique together. The link was heavy, yet underneath all the Oscars and critical praise, Howard left the project exhausted and unable to deal with the actor again, whose approach required so much negotiation. It was that magical moment when a filmmaker who values trust and predictability found it fascinating and exhausting. He trapped lightning in a bottle, singeing his hands. Crowe was different. Crowe explained his intensity as part of his craft in interviews. "I don't show up for praise," he said. "Finding truth in every moment is my goal." He considered it dedication, not ego. Sometimes such commitment reads as disobedience. Crowe later expressed his respect for Howard, but called his stability constraining. "Ron likes clean and comfy," he noted in an interview. "Genuine art is uncomfortable." They still respected each other, but their philosophies were too different to cross again. Howard smiled when asked if he would work with Crowe again in 2015, saying some collaborations are intended to happen once. Finally, A Beautiful Mind proved that creative harmony has discord. Above all, it reinforced Howard's idea that filmmaking is about democratically engaging talent, not just controlling it. His leadership style was defined by his forbearance during that storm. Calm, versatile, quietly powerful. Crowe shone, but Howard's control made it acceptable. Process versus genius wasn't a war. A study in contrasts, it tested whether the two artists could compromise without losing themselves. They fared well, briefly. That moment won Crowe and Howard the Globe. It also taught Howard a lasting lesson. Not every magic repeats. Not every storm warrants a second chance. The following Ron Howard secret will startle you if you believe you've heard them all. 3. When Happy Days appeared in 1974, Ron Howard was well known in America. Former child star of The Andy Griffith Show, Richie Cunningham, personified a new kind of nostalgia after growing up on screen. Healthy, all-American adolescent balancing friendship, romance, and 1950s small-town life. The show revolved around him. He drove the story's morality. Henry Winkler entered as Arthur Fonzie Fonzarelli, leather jacket over shoulder, calm, casual voice. The rugged, Richie-loving Fonz was designed to provide comic relief. Within a season, something unexpected happened. The sidekick stole the spotlight. Winkler's magnetism captivated audiences. He was rebellious, friendly, cool, and compassionate. The kind of guy everyone wanted to befriend. Fans sent mail, and studio bosses noticed. Eventually, scripts featured more Fonzie and less Richie. Instead of Richie's moral concerns, stories focused on the Fonz. Even show marketing altered. More posters, magazine covers, and interviews featured Winkler. Howard, the show's anchor, suddenly orbited a new star. One crew member said the irony was cruel. The leather-jacketed rebel eclipsed the clean-cut hero. Howard initially dismissed it. He was professional, grounded, and liked Winkler. There was mutual respect and no antagonism. But within, it hurt. Seeing the creative focus shift was hard for an actor who had carried the program from the pilot. Howard honestly recounted the time years later. I sometimes questioned my role on the show. I didn't hate Henry, but I hated how the story changed. The worst part was that no one was responsible. Winkler didn't plan his success. He simply connected with audiences in unexpected ways. Howard learned the unpleasant unpredictability of fame early on. Neither tension was loud or explosive. It was professional and calm. No yelling bouts or public feuds, simply a subtle shift in dynamics. Ron remained calm when his screen time decreased, according to cast members. Though his work ethic was unwavering, production colleagues noted a change in his vigor. Easy exuberance from his early seasons faded. He still performed with emotion and authenticity, but he was looking beyond acting. Howard observed the crew during breaks, inquiring about cameras and lighting. The young actor who wanted to reveal stories from the inside was preparing to work behind the camera. Happy Days unexpectedly pushed Howard down the path to directing. Being overshadowed hurt more than his ego. It clarified his goal. He decided to stop seeking fame. He wants it built. He studied the change instead of resenting it. He discovered how audience chemistry can change a production, how networks factor ratings, and how to balance creative egos with the broader picture. His filmmaking career was built on such lessons. Howard later remarked that the transition showed him that tales and people change. Change can be fought or learned from. He chose the latter. All of it seems lyrical now. He learned to become one of Hollywood's most respected filmmakers from the program that made him feel replaced. His connection with Winkler proved that professional conflict doesn't kill friendships. Winkler called Howard the most giving person in the company decades later. After a modest competition, they admired each other. The show isn't simply about stolen spotlight while the side character eats. Humility, progress, and grace to step aside and shine are key. Losing center stage on joyous days didn't stop Ron Howard. Beginning of everything that followed. 2. Mel Gibson and Ron Howard's 1996 Ransom partnership seemed perfect. He was Hollywood's consistent, meticulous, and respected leader. Meanwhile, Mel Gibson was at his peak. After winning the Oscars, Braveheart was a creative force as well as an actor. They promised fireworks, two consummate experts pushing each other to excellence. Instead of a cooperation, a power struggle ensued. From outside, the strain was invisible. On screen, the film was tight, strong, and well-made. Behind the camera, two leaders, one quiet and one forceful, fought. Gibson commanded the production from the outset. He was smart, passionate, and full of ideas. But enthusiasm came with strong ideas on everything. Camera angles, tempo, conversation, and even the tone of performance around him. Howard, who preferred collaboration over confrontation, now had an actor who wanted to control everything. Mel does more than act, a crew member said. He wants to design, direct, and sometimes rewrite it. Creative talks were Howard's forte. Not a discussion. Debate ensued. Every change was negotiated. Creative control referendum for all. Frequent conflict exhausted a man known for harmony. A tense kidnapping sequence, one of the film's emotional anchors, was the catalyst for the conflict. Gibson repeatedly paused production to suggest different line readings and staging, saying the passage lacked raw force. Howard listened, adjusted, and balanced artistic respect with direction. Gibson pushed more as he accommodated. "Even a diplomat like Ron has limits," observed a stage lighting technician. He calculated every word that day to retain the piece without losing control. Howard had to make a rare executive call to halt production until he altered the scenario. It wasn't mad. Precision reestablished. This wasn't a revolt for Gibson. It was art. He tackled acting as intensely as directing, thinking it required full emotional and creative engagement. He saw pushing boundaries as devotion, not insubordination. In later interviews, he commended Howard's professionalism, but acknowledged their differing paces. Gibson called Ron the calm in the storm. The storm is me. Fair self-assessment. His explosive energy made Ransom electrifying, but it also made every day a struggle between brilliance and burnout. The encounter confirmed an important truth for Howard, who built his career on balance. No two captains can steer the same ship. Ransom was a critical and economic success despite the turmoil. Tension didn't damage the film, it fueled it. Gibson's performance as a desperate parent on the verge was emotional, and Howard's directing gave it structure. They created a controlled pandemonium that blended both styles well. Howard left with mixed feelings. He proved he could handle a strong personality without compromising the film. But that management was costly. He was exhausted from the constant push and pull, and while he never publicly criticized Gibson, his friends knew the partnership had ended. Prepare for our top moment. Ron Howard's ultimate actor choice will amaze you. 1. Brando. The 1990s invitation to direct Marlon Brando felt like fate for Ron Howard. Brando went beyond acting. He was the actor who altered film with Desire and The Godfather. Working with him was a once-in-a-lifetime chance for directors. Howard saw something deeper. Childhood dream meets professional validation. Brando's ability to disappear into a role had captivated him as a child. Now he could direct that energy from behind the camera. Howard's dream partnership turned into one of his hardest experiences. Sobering reminder that legends are often best admired from afar. This project was designed to be prestigious, a generational drama about an old patriarch facing his legacy expenses. It suited Brando on paper, grand and intimate, emotionally complicated. By this point, the once electric actor was known for indifference, eccentricity, and downright revolt on set. The rumors were genuine when development began. Brando was late and unprepared, insisting on writing his dialogue on cue cards around the set. Crew members said his focus shifted from moment to moment, as if the script were background noise for his thoughts. Howard, known for order and efficiency, suddenly directed a living great who didn't want to be directed. Howard initially took his time. He always believed that respect earns respect, and he intended to gain Brando's trust by tolerating his eccentricities. It was evident this wasn't imaginative exploration. It was ignored. Brando would disappear for hours, rewrite sequences, or change his mind mid-shot, confusing the crew. From my perspective, Ron Howard's experiences with difficult actors reflect a broader truth about the human condition and the nature of leadership in creative work. Art, at its core, is an act of controlled chaos. Every great film exists somewhere between discipline and disorder, between the director's vision and the actor's instinct. What makes Howard's story remarkable is not that he clashed with volatile personalities, but that he consistently chose grace over ego, structure over spectacle, and patience over pride. In an industry built on pressure, insecurity, and performance, maintaining emotional equilibrium is perhaps the hardest skill to master. The tension between Howard and figures like Mel Gibson or Russell Crowe was not simply a clash of temperament. It was a collision of two worldviews, one rooted in orchestration, the other in explosion. Howard represents the craftsman who builds harmony from precision. His actors often embodied the raw, unpredictable nature of human emotion. When those forces collide, something extraordinary, or disastrous, can happen. His ability to keep the balance, to contain, not exacerbate, shows a form of strength that modern leadership often overlooks. I think the larger lesson here extends beyond filmmaking. Howard's career is a study in emotional intelligence, the art of guiding passion without extinguishing it. Many directors, when faced with rebellion or volatility, respond with control, anger, or retaliation. Howard responded with adjustment. He understood that leadership is not domination, it's direction. You do not win by silencing the storm, but by shaping its path so it becomes part of the story. That philosophy, in my view, separates mere authority from true mastery. Still, there is a moral complexity here. Creative freedom and discipline are not natural allies. An actor's unpredictability may produce genius, but it can also sabotage collective effort. A film set is not just an artist's playground, it's a logistical organism that depends on time, respect, and cooperation. The moment one person's process begins to destabilize others, art risks collapsing into chaos. Howard's calmness was not weakness, it was boundary setting disguised as compassion. He understood that empathy without structure is indulgence, and structure without empathy is tyranny. In my opinion, the real solution, if one exists, is cultivating environments where creativity is shared, not imposed. A director must be both conductor and counselor, ensuring that every performer, no matter how brilliant, remembers that cinema is collaboration, not competition. Hollywood often glorifies the difficult genius, but Howard's career proves that gentleness can coexist with greatness. Kindness, when rooted in discipline, can produce art as profound as fury ever could. Ultimately, what I admire most about Ron Howard is not his restraint, but his awareness. He never confused silence with weakness or control with authority. He learned from chaos without becoming consumed by it. To me, that is the rarest kind of power, the ability to remain steady when brilliance burns too hot. In a world that celebrates intensity, Howard reminds us that harmony is not the absence of conflict, it's the wisdom to transform conflict into creation.